Building a digital product is complex, demanding, uncertain. And that's where we come in. We're a group of creative thinkers, digital product specialists, dreamers, and team players. With over 15 years in the industry, 400 innovators, 50 awards, building over 150 digital products for our global customers. We engage in your awesome idea and help bring it to life. 99X, creating impactful digital products together. Building a digital product is complex, demanding, uncertain. And that's where we come in. We're a group of creative thinkers, digital product specialists, dreamers, and team players. With over 15 years in the industry, 400 innovators, 50 awards, building over 150 digital products for our global customers. We engage in your awesome idea and help bring it to life. 99X, creating impactful digital products together.
Good evening, everyone, and welcome to Day 2 of Quality Week 2023, organized by the Colombo Quality Camp and proudly sponsored by our strategic partner, 99X. Headquartered in Norway with offices in Oslo and Colombo, Sri Lanka, 99X is one of Asia's best workplaces and a global leader in agile product engineering and technology innovation. We are also pleased to acknowledge our education partner, the Sri Lanka Software Testing Board, a non-profit organization that represents the national industry interests and promotes the broad profession of software testing. It is comprised of a group of experienced experts in software testing who volunteer their time to the development, maintenance, and promotion of the ISTQB certified tester program in Sri Lanka. We've got 3 amazing sessions by 3 amazing individuals in our industry to enrich and enhance our knowledge and experience. My name is Dini Amit, and I will be your moderator for the first session of the event, and my colleague Anupama will be taking over the remaining sessions. So before we get on with our sessions, let me remind you that you can type in your questions to our speakers in the chat, and I will help convey them at the end of the session. So let me introduce our first speaker of the day, Nadee Navaratne, a distinguished SDET professional with over 18 years of experience in pioneering innovations that revolutionized traditional test automation processes into high throughput, large scale testing platforms. Across various organizations, Nadee has been instrumental in initiating and steering numerous innovations that have evolved into substantial revenue streams. Currently serving as the principal SDET at Circles.Life International, Nadee will share insights on assuring quality in a high velocity development process. Over to you, Nadee.
Nadee seems you are muted.
Sorry. Hello, everyone. Hope I'm loud and clear to you.
Yes.
Okay. So today I'm going to talk about, as Dean said, throughout my career, I have done a lot of transformation in the AQA, or well-known AQA, and recently it's famous as SDET, Software Development Engineers Industry. So lot of innovations, but now today I'm going to talk about one of the key painstaking area which we have solutionized and then developing our solutions on. That is how we are going to assure a low CFR. If you people who don't know CFR, CFR stands for change failure rate on high velocity development projects, right? So when we talk about high velocity development projects, um, the the main challenge we are having is that how we assure the quality, and in other words, how we ensure that our changes are not uh, introducing new failures, right? So that is the key problem we had. So if I explain you few things about the current current organization, how we operate, and what is the the um, um, challenges in terms of delivery. Now we are actually Circles.Life is a telco-based company. The telco industry is fast grooming and a lot of industry with a lot of competition. So that we always need to be whenever we do, in order to gain our customers, we have to be in a very high end. Whatever the changes, whatever the fixes we do for our existing issues in the production, we have to be very quick. We have to develop and transform the changes into the production in no time. So that is where we are trying to assure the high velocity, right? High velocity means not always the time. It's about the resources, right? We have to be, we when whatever we do should not add additional effort to the resources or engineers who is working on the projects. So because they need to really focus on what are the changes they do, and the other organizations, quality and SRE, some reliability engineers, they have to ensure that they are really working on um, um, ensuring that whatever the fixes, whatever the changes done by the development team goes to the production in no time, right? So talk about high velocity. The key challenges is maintaining the low CFR. That is always keep on challenging, because whatever the change we do tend to introduce more defects. And so when we in this particular session, what I'm going to give you is that high level understanding about what is high velocity project, and then challenges maintaining in low CFR, and the approach taken, right? What are the approaches we have taken and key enhancements we have done to cater with those challenges? So going into the challenges on high velocity project is that as I said, we have to go on a frequency releases. Or whatever the changes you can do, you should go to the production very quickly. These are not the changes whatever changes I'm talking about is not the changes which is included in PI, project increments, right? So there can be large features we are planning to enhance the customer experience. But apart from that, we will be having certain other features we need frequent releases, production issues, production bugs, we say, and the features which needs to go to the customer, minute features which goes to the customer, should be deployed very quickly, right? And also, so those features needs to go to the production very quickly, so that we have to ensure that we are doing frequent releases and development to production within very short time. So developer does the development in his environment, and the feature should go to the production very quickly. With that, the challenges, right? You have to ensure the quality as well, and deployments needs to happen, right? And also you have to go for the continuous releases, right? And from the quality assurance side, what we will be facing is that limited time for testing because of the faster release cycles, and so that we have to be very optimum on our testing, because we don't have any room for repetitive testing. And then high and with that time crunch, there's a high risk of bug leakage. Again, that is leads to change failure, right? So how we in our organization, if I talk about a few things, so we are microservice based. We are developing the platform, telco platform, which is based on microservice architecture, and we have around 30 odd services which build up the entire platform, right? Now you can understand that how frequent these releases would be. Each service will have in a given hour or given minute, there's a change happening in any of the service, and that needs to go to the production very quickly, right? Um, so when we see that problem, what we have seen is that what we have this is pretty much challenge, and alone QA will not be able to sort out this challenge. So that we have to transform entire process. Whatever we do manual should be transformed to automated approach, right? So so that we have when we talk about our solution which we have developed, um, we have three pieces of it: testing, deployments, and environment. Testing, yes, obviously we have to optimize our testing, and we have actually carved out two types. Sanity. This is regarding the functional testing, right? So when it comes to functional testing, we have sanity test bed, which gives the sign off for the given feature, whether it is not breaking up, or the main kind of functionalities are working with that, with the new change without any disruption. And full regression will ensure that the entire platform is stable enough to operate, um, and in each detailed functionality will be verified. And then we selected two major places we need to inject our quality assurance into, or automated testing into. One is deployment pipelines, and second thing is on-demand pipelines nightly. So that we can run full regression on nightly while we are running sanity test on the pipelines. And then obviously we have to go to the automation approach. And since it is microservice, all the layers can be covered in order to give the optimum coverage. It should be API, UI, right? And also, in order to ensure that the PI functionalities we have planned to go on in sprint automation. And then when the deployment happening when it comes to deployment. Earlier, we have used multiple deployment environments, but right now we will not have any room to uh, deploy and test on multiple environments. So we have to find a way to limit the environments when what we do testing. And also, we have to deployment should be frequent. So right now we have transformed the deployment frequency to per commit deployment. So I'll explain how we did that. And then when it goes to environments, um, we actually selected. We already had certain. I'll explain in detail. So we have transformed existing environment structure into new, very dynamic environment structure, right? Environment in the sense the service deployed environment, which is used to testing, right? And then again, when it comes to environments, test data management is another tricky piece. So we have to solutionize that aspect as well. So if I show you the before and after enhancement, how the environment looks like, right? So you can see the before enhancement, we had local environment where developers did the testing, and in that, obviously, you can understand these are the types of testing. These are nothing new to you guys, but you can see we have separate environment called service environment. So this is again we have introduced to check the individual service stability in the Microsoft architecture. So here what we are checking is the environment consists of the service under test, the mock server, and the other infrastructure components like database, messaging queues, and all. So when the test scripts are running, then the service itself, if they want to go to external service, they will not go to external service. They will just go to the only to the mock server, and mock server will make sure that the controlled and very persistent set of responses are given back, so that we can check the service individually in this environment. And then we have staging, that's a quality environment, and pre-production environment, and production environment. So we have this large set of environments to manage in order to do the testing. But after the enhancement, we have reduced the environments. We have merged all these three into one environment, and we call it dynamic environment. So dynamic environment, what happens is that if a developer raises the commit request and commit is tested, and commit will be tested under um, these analysis. So service level testing and all this stuff will be going across on top of the commit. And then once the commit is approved and merge request is initiated, then the dynamic environment will be spin up. So all there will be a dynamic environment spin up with all the services under test. So that all the 30 odd, it is like one of any of these environments like staging, pre-prod. It will be very similar environment to these two with all the services, and it will spin up. But the challenge is that this environment will be having the very fresh set of data. So data won't be there because this environment is very fresh. So we had a challenge on how to manage test data, how to inject test data into these environments as well. So and dynamic environment, this is very short-lived environment, and this environment will be spin up, and we run all the tests, and then this environment will be discarded within 1 hour. So other challenge is that for all these stuff, starting from I'll show you the pipeline structure in here. So you can see this is the pipeline which is spin up for the merge request, right? So it will run all the static analysis, and then do the container building, and again it will run the service deployment, and here the entire 30 odd services will be spin up and deployed in one environment. And then there is another phase we have introduced to inject test data, and then we run the automation scripts. It can be API or UI based on the service. And then we have the validation for the quality. So quality gate, you can see at the quality gate evaluation, it automatically checks what's the pass rate of the automation test, and if it is above the hard gate value, then it will approve the merge request to be merged into the trunk, right? So so that way, now we have reduced the number of environments so that we can do test once in all the aspects, and then uh, make that code production ready, right? Now you can see the challenge is that this is a short-lived environment, and we have to run our all regressions in all the sanity and full suits within 1 hour time frame, right? So then this is the actual benefits we have seen in this when we manage the lesser environments. So in this new approach, we have drastically reduced overlapping testing. So when the service is tested, we will run we ensure that the single test, there are certain very critical journeys. So we ensure that those journeys will be executed as much as possible. But other journeys, other low priority test cases will be executed only once in the deployment cycle, right? So and you can see the environment spin-ups dynamically, and CI/CD pipeline ensure the deployments of system and the test execution. And quality gates ensures that the defective code is not propagated to the upper environment, that's the production environment, right? Um, then then the environment management wise, we have achieved one thing, that is the lesser environment requirement, so that we have drastically reduced the time. And also by adapting into the dynamic environment concept, we are verifying one other aspect as well, whether this feature is deployable, right? Because what we have seen in the previously that when we have static environments, the development teams normally point to develop when they do the development, rather than some of the developers, not all, right? When Rather than deploying the infrastructure in their um, local environments, they point to staging and do the modifications, whatever the feature change, and then start deploying. And then we realize that there are certain config changes needs to be added, so that then um, bugs coming in, and then they have to go on cycle. But with the dynamic environment, which spin up as a fresh environment as an empty environment, we ensure that this particular the feature is individually and independently deployed in a fresh environment as well. So that's the key other benefit we have gained through this approach. Yeah. And then when it comes to merge request, when the merge request comes in, then we have service level testing spin-ups, and then images built. And here we are running tests like dynamic application security testing. And in the static environments, we run static application security testing, once the service image is built in cloud system, um, we run the security scans for the image as well, so ensure that there are no any loopholes. And then the deployment job ensures that the services are deployed and testing. Here we can independently manage what are the test cases to be executed in CI/CD pipelines. And quality gates ensures that the whatever the code goes through, this phase or this pipeline is meeting uh, the quality criteria, right? In this case, and when practically we had a few problems because there are a lot of environment instabilities which blocks the merge request going into trunk. So we have phased out the hard gate thresholds. Like we started with 60% pass rate, and then remaining failure we analyzed manually and then gave the go ahead. But then when the stability is gaining, now we are at 95, and our ultimate goal is to go to 100% pass rate so that nothing will be moved. One, no merge request will be moved ahead, which has even a single test case failure, right? Yeah. So, and other thing is that when we optimize in the testing, we always ensure that we are complying with the test pyramid. So we do loads of testing at the service level before it is merged into the trunk, and then we do journey level testing. Journeys in the sense that we focus on mainly the business end-to-end journeys, customer onboarding, it can be customer termination, and whatever the very critical journey level testing will be done in the dynamic environments. And then we do sanity testing on the upper environments, in this case, the platform production environment. Right. Um, yeah. And then, as I said, the next challenge we had is that test data management. How we inject now, when it comes to test data, we have two types of test data. One is seed data. Those are the data which application requires to operate as a fresh environment. And precondition data are the data which needs to be there for the test or whatever the user test scenarios to be executed. So and other key challenge we had is that um, I have reminded you that we had a very limited time frame, so that we had to ensure that test data insertion and injection is not consuming a lot of time, and also um, and and there can be database schema change, so that we can't rely on a direct data injection mechanism, because if the schema change happening, that will fail. So we have to have a system which is dynamic enough to change according to the schema changes, and also it should not consume. Then injection should not consume, because we already have a way for the test scripts to generate test data through the APIs, but APIs take loads of time to inject data compared to the if you compare with the pipeline execution time, right? So that we actually developed this major this solution. The concerning criteria we had was that this should not add additional burden or work to the existing AQS or development or DBS, right? So there should not be any additional effort for them to use this. Number two, the availability should be very high. Number three, this should be dynamic enough to cope with the changes in the schema. So here, what we are doing is that we have simply used the same pipeline with additional steps. So when the scheduler starts the test data TDMS pipeline, it will spin up the on-demand environment with 30 odd services, and then we simply run the test scripts will be executed, data generation test scripts. We already have those test scripts, because those scripts are the ones which already available in the system. So those will be spin up and inject the data into the system. And then there is a backup process where it backs up all the service related data into artifact repository and make it available. And when the time the actual pipeline execute for testing, Rather than creating data through API, we can just quickly pump data using the SQL injection, which is 10-20 times faster than API-based data creation, right? So, this was the structure of the pipeline, and we make it uh, more fault tolerance because we added some verification step where after the data are published, there's another pipeline which executes on the stable branch, which consumes these artifacts and verifies all the tests can be executed with this data. So that will, after that only the artifacts will be test data. Um, the schemas will be certified that these scripts, insertions, queries are good for other pipelines to use. So once it is certified, then it will be available. So these pipelines we run every 2 hours to make data the dynamic enough to cope with the new schema changes, and then it will keep on updating the data uh, and make the data available, right? So I know I'm in a real rush to explain these things um, since I need to achieve this within a very quick time frame. So I think if you have any questions, we can open up the floor for the questions. Is it Dean?
Yes, Harsha. We have one question in the chat at the moment. Um, is it okay that I go ahead and read it out for you?
Ah,
It says, is this dynamic environment practical to implement every project, or project-wise will it differ?
yeah. So here, I assume that you mean project. When you say project, it can be what you mean is that the project in a service organization, right? Um, so if the but we can use this environment for this is nothing actually when we come to dynamic environment. This particular structure can be implemented anywhere because, as I said, the environment we are working with is having 30 odd microservices, and earlier it was 40 odd services, but we have merged few and to strengthen the functionality. So yes, this can be implemented in um, uh, multiple projects as well. Only thing is that the deployment phase needs to be injected into the CI/CD pipelines you are uh, in your uh, in your project. So so that uh, rather than maintaining a static environment which will be available for 24 hours, this will be again cost effective as well when it comes to you know um, when you consider um, the availability timing as well. Hope I answered. Um,
Yes, we have one more question in the chat, Harsha. So it says, what would be the best practice for test data management when running automated tests, creating test data on the go, and clean from database after the test run, or deleting data using delete endpoints or scheduled data cleaning jobs?
Correct. So this is again very tricky problem if I take our previous environments, because right now we are not using any static environment so that we don't have any issues with the data cleanups. So yes, we had a lot of problem on in terms of data management, but when it comes to automation, it's always very good to have a data cleanup script along with the automation test bed. Primarily because what we have seen is that when we look at the testing scope and all, we will not realize, but some of the data we will be adding will jeopardize the entire other flows which manual testers do or go through, or the other teams work on, right? So that it's always better to have a test data script, test data. clearing script after the test case completion, so that you know that atomic functionality is not jeopardizing data. And when it comes to test data creation, also, as much as possible, it's better to have your preconditioned data available um, as a data injection mechanism. Because what we have seen is that, yes, earlier we actually faced this problem in our phase one, where we didn't have we didn't have, we actually expected certain data to be in the system. But when it comes to dynamic environment, we realized that we are not going nowhere with that expected expectation, because scripts can't run on fresh environment. So that we started building precondition scripts, which is injecting data that makes us that test case is independently a runnable test case. That actually enables the test case to be parallelized as well. So we can run, we can minimize the dependency between test cases, and we can increase our parallel threads count. That is number two. And then when it comes to this high velocity approach, which we have converted last year, the again our data injection scripts has consumed considerable amount of time, so that we have moved to that's why we have moved to that data injection approach, so that here we are achieving high velocity independent test case execution, and we are not jeopardizing any environment. But frankly, data cleanup is not a problem for us anymore, because environment will be discarded, and if next merge request comes in, it will be a very fresh environment with no data, and we do the data injection. So to summarize the answer, yes, always have a mechanism to available test data. It's good that if you can have a test data injection mechanism upfront, rather than creating running precondition scripts to save the time. And also data cleanup is again mandatory, especially if you are running on a static environment, static staging or static pre-production or whatever the environment, um, which is not dynamically changing. Okay.
Uh, okay, Nadee, we have a few more questions, but unfortunately, since we are on time constraints, I hope
Right.
you can answer them offline in the
Sure.
chat. And also, everyone can reach out to you on LinkedIn
Sure.
and ask you any questions they have regarding today's topic. So, once again, thank you very much, Nadee, for that informative discussion. Um, and yes, for that invaluable discussion that you had today during the Colombo Quality Week 2023.
Okay. Thank you. Thank you very much, all. Nice to see you all. Yeah.
So, before moving on to our next session, I want to extend our appreciation to the sponsors who have been instrumental in making Quality Week 2023 a reality. Our strategic partner, 99X, and our education partner, the Sri Lanka Software Testing Board, SLSTB. So, I'm Anupama Disanayaka, and I will be your moderator for the next two sessions. Next up, we have a remarkable individual. Currently serving as the Application QA Director at Interactions LLC, located in Franklin, Massachusetts, USA, and boasting over 23 years of dedicated experience in the software development industry. He has also worked in various capacities in Sri Lanka, India, and the United States. Without further ado, let me warmly welcome Harsha Bandara Navaratne. He's here today to enlighten you on the topic AI and its impact on software quality. Over to you, Harsha.
Hey, thank you, Anupama. So you've been saying Harsha to even to Nadee, right? So most of the guys used to mix up Nadee Navaratne and myself, like, and I used to tease him like we are brothers. So he's a brother from another mother. So hi, good evening, everyone. So I think Anupama given a sort of an introduction about me. So I don't think that I have to tell anything about myself. But what I've heard is we have a good diverse crowd at this point. We have a couple of university students and then people from the industry. So therefore, I thought I would love to share the experiences that I've gathered for the last 5-6 years, especially in IA, in AI industry, and involved in multiple applications through my current organization, and what we do, what we develop, and how we certify things. So therefore, I'm not going to talk about, or I'm not going to dig deep into any applications, I mean, I'm not going to talk about, say, okay, if you want to use AI with automation, these are the tools. No, that's not going to be my topic. But I'm going to talk about its impact on software quality. Because, there had been different eras in the industry where you've went through, especially we went through. So we started with a lot of manual testing initially, and there was a huge involvement towards automation and other factors like how we're gonna decide where we're gonna head at, and how we're gonna keep our jobs secured, because with coming days, or like within the next 5-10 years, what are the jobs that's going to get obsolete, and how we should navigate through, and what should be our career plan. That's the whole idea. I have 40 minutes, so let's try to go through what I prepared, but in the same time, after that, we can go through a couple of questions, and I'll share my email address, and you can find me in LinkedIn. Just send me, ask any question. I'll be able to help you with detailed discussion topics on the tools and technologies that we use. All right, let me share my presentation. Yeah, I did one. Hope I share this. Everyone will be able to see it. You guys can see it, right, Anupama?
Not yet, Harsha.
Oh, okay. Give me a second. I don't think sharing started. Right, desktop 2. Share. How about now?
Yep, it's on the way. Yeah, we can see it.
Okay, cool. Okay. All right, so let's quickly move into agenda, what I'm going to cover today. So I'm going to talk a little bit about traditional software quality assurance, because right now you might be doing it, or I don't know, you might be into AI, and it's different aspects of it, and you might be already involved in it. If not, what's traditional software quality assurance, and then why we have to, or why we must move ahead with AI, because its benefits and where we're heading at. And then adapting, like how we're going to adapt our traditional methodologies, because right now your development maybe, because when it comes to a software development project, you might not always develop AI stuff, artificial intelligence or machine learning stuff, but you might be doing traditional development. But in such a case, can we use AI for testing, just for testing? So that's the whole idea. And then I picked 2 case studies from my current organization, so that we can discuss about it a bit. And then we have the questions and any discussion, or any questions and answers forum. So traditionally, so I think you have seen this slide enough, right? So wherever you join, even when I joined Virtusa for the first time, this is something that I've been taught. Okay, we have the industry we have W, and we've given different names, right? So no matter what, you will be ended up doing waterfall methods on most of the projects that I've seen, right? So people are going, and we say like, okay, we're going to start a nice agile project, but end of the day you ask, okay, requirements are not freeze, we can't do anything, we can't start our test case design, we are waiting for that. So there had been multiple issues, back and forth discussions, when it comes to even whenever we're going to pick what sort of process that we're going to follow. So you are very familiar with the VOW model, and you might have learned this through the university curriculum, or maybe through industry. And in addition to that, you might have, in this crowd, we might have, or we may have individuals who have done some automation, some performance testing, and you might be a guru in Selenium, maybe in any other automation language or any other automation framework, and you might have done for security testing as well. And performance testing as well, and then the security testing aspect. So this was something new when we were started software engineering. I don't know how it is right now in Sri Lanka, but again, this is a niche area where people might say, okay, you have to go to a certain security specialized organization if you want to do security testing, or there may be individuals who wants to start it and move ahead with it. And then we're gonna and there are many limitations and challenges when it comes to these traditional methodologies. You might be already know it right now, right? Say for an example, if I pick a simple example from my current engagement, current organization that I'm going to talk a little bit later. Say for an example, so we are developing conversational AI solutions. What is conversational AI solution? It's becoming so popular. Even in your mobile device, you have a conversational AI solution. You talk to Siri, you talk to Google. You say, "Hey Google, what's the weather look like?" Right? So whatever you're going to say, your mobile device is going to give you an answer, and it's a very open-ended one, right? So we build software. We build in our company. We build industry solutions for different organizations where people can talk freely. So it's like, contact management centers. You might be familiar with contact management centers, or what we call call centers in a simple word. So we automate those organizations. So we provide software solutions for contact management centers. So they are what we do. Like if I pick an example, say it's a pizza delivery or pizza factory or pizza Hut, like in Sri Lanka, or I just picked a name called Antonio Pizza in my example. It's another real organization, but I picked the name. So when you call it, or when you give a call to make an order, they will ask, "Hey, welcome to Acme Pizza. I'm a virtual assistant, virtual agent. Tell me, how can I help you?" It's a very open-ended question, right? So user can say many things. They can place their order. They can talk about what they want, what are the toppings that they want, sides they want, and then they can talk about different types of sodas, or what we call Coke, Pepsi, different brands, right? So now order capturing is a very complex process. How are we going to test it in traditional software world? How many test cases that we need it, right? So it's going to be a humongous question. Like, I mean, what we're going to cover, because you might have heard a lot about how you're going to do the test coverage, and we talk about traceability metrics. We gather requirements, and then we create a traceability metrics, and it's bidirectional traceability metrics. And you might have heard all these technical jargon, like all these years, for the last 20 years, we've been discussing about how are we going to give a solution for such a problem. Right? So how are you going to, I mean, if this had been a two-way conversation, I love to get the feedback from you. How are you going to start your test cases? But unfortunately, it's not. But you can think right now, how are you going to solve that problem? What's how I'm going to handle this landing intent, what we call the initial intent? It's an open-ended one. User can say anything, right? Because all the softwares that we've seen, that we've heard, that we've developed up to now, there's a defined pathway. You know what's going to happen when you click on this link. What's going to happen? What you're going to get? If you fill your first name, middle name, last name, and click on the submit button, what's going to happen? But that's a very open-ended question. So software industry is moving towards more open-ended solutions where you can customize things. Say for an example, GPTs, right? So you must be familiar with ChatGPT for sure. Whenever you want to create a presentation, whenever you want to do something right now, those days we were struggling a lot, and especially if you are a university student, lecturers might be struggling a lot to overcome those challenges. So the world is moving towards such a direction, and as QA professionals, it's going to be a challenging environment for us. So traditional software might not solve the problems that we're going to get in the future. That's the key thing. Right. So what is AI? So as again, like I would love if this had been a two-way conversation, but now you can think yourself, what is AI? What is machine learning? And there are a lot of articles. There are a lot of things that if you don't know right now, please go ahead and start reading, because that's gonna change your whole world, and like how you're gonna see things. And how can we use it for quality assurance, or use it in quality assurance? Or is it something special? Is it really challenging? Do we have to learn, say, data analyst side of it? Or do we have to learn machine learning to do it? No, you don't have to. You don't have to. Because there are many benefits from this, as well as it's very simplified and it's very easy for us to use in the QA world. So that's the beauty of it. Because if it's complex and if it's challenging, then we might not be able to shift our gears and move towards AI for quality assurance. Otherwise, it's going to be a challenging thing, right? So so there are many benefits that we can achieve from using AI in our software quality assurance. So in your QA world, you will see a lot of repetitive tasks that you are doing, right? So even for multiple test combinations, or maybe for deployments, or maybe for CI/CD pipeline, there are enough repetitive tasks that we are doing. So we can automate those things, and we can definitely increase the testing efficiencies through that, and the test coverage. So as I said earlier, if you have an open-ended question, the test combination, test coverage is going to be a real challenge. So most of our engagements, we will not have enough test coverage, or we might have over coverage in some instances. Because so in my early career, we used to work with some US companies where we were optimizing their test cases, because they have written thousands of test cases throughout 10-15 years time period, and there are a lot of test cases that they've never used, and they have no idea whether it's important, whether it's relevant or not, right? So we even got projects to clean up those test case messes. So we did it in manual way. We looked at those things, we created traceability metrics, went through the requirements, months of projects. So those companies paid, Sri Lankan companies like Vetusa, just to clean up their test cases. Is it going to happen in the future? No, those type of businesses are going to go away. This is very, very important for us to know. If you are involved in such an engagement right now, be aware. It's going to last for another year or two max, or maybe even less than that. The way that we are experiencing, the way that we are advancing at this point, maybe within 6-7 months, people are going to stop these type of projects, right? And another classic example is rate creation, right? So this is, I mean, when I say this, there may be enough individuals who will realize, oh, I did that, right? So for US insurance companies, or for US sales companies, for different rate creation. So for you create test data for down, some applications. So for this test data creation, we get paid. So that's what the offshoring was. To create some sample test data, you get paid, but not anymore. So be aware, because these things can be done through AI, right? So it's very important. It's very simple to I mean, through AI, you can look at a huge data lake and pick most important data points that we're going to use in your testing activities. That's the key. That's the most important element of it. You can enhance your test coverage. You can increase the efficiency, and the most important thing is you can do early detection. When you write the code, when you create it, like you can identify areas that could fail, that could create issues, especially on security issues and vulnerability. Java, or I mean, any language that you use, right? Any memory leaks, or any security threats, or any security leak points or weak points, you can identify those things. And then, as I said, prioritization, yes, and most importantly, user behavior simulation. So there is a very classic joke that you already know. You test a restaurant application, and you act as a person who's gonna go and order a beer, right? You order 0.5 beer, you order 0 beer, you order 500 beer. You test all these things, and someone walks into the restaurant, and you deploy the application. Someone walks into the restaurant and asks where the toilet is. The entire system fails. There's a known joke about it, right? Because user behavior is another important area that we need to identify when we work as software engineers or software quality assurance engineers in a different part of the world, and we are going to serve someone else in some other country, because there are differences, there are user behavior differences, and it's really important to simulate these user behaviors. In our world, in our contact center management solutions, we simulate user behaviors. Even we create AI solutions to provide it to the users, but to test it, again, we create user behavior simulations so that you can identify what a real user is going to say. Otherwise, if we give this to a tester will simply say, I need a pizza. So then we'll ask the second question, what sort of pizza, right? You will say, okay, I need a veggie pizza, or I need a chicken pizza. What are the toppings that you need? So that's how the conversation is going to go. But in a user behavior simulation, someone will say, hey, as I ordered last week, I need a medium chicken pizza with these toppings, and as a side I need this, and then I need Coke. They might give the whole order in a single shot. So how are you going to behave it? How are you going to handle it? So that's a user behavior simulation. And those type of test engagements are maybe new to you, but just start reading, because that's how it's going to be in the future for most of our engagements. The user behavior will be a real important thing for us. Right, so I'll just give some time to digest, and I'll move to the third slide so that we can move forward. And I hope that if you have you read a lot about AI and the different tools, techniques that you can use for testing, and you want to introduce this to your current organization. And you are the QA lead, you are the QA manager, or you are the head of the QA. You want to apply some of these technologies, techniques into your organization. How are you going to do that? So my advice, start with a hybrid approach, because people are going to go crazy. They're definitely going to, changing a culture, changing a already set up environment is always challenging. So maybe start with a hybrid testing approach where you do both at the same time. And then you identify the automation opportunities. That's a key, right? So you have to find out, or you have to figure it out, what are the things that you can easily automate. And then start with the low-hanging fruits and move forward. And most important thing is skill development, because this is a new thing to everyone, right? This is definitely going to be a new thing, new challenge for your leadership, for your management, for your team members, and start and plan for skill development and training. And then they do the gradual integration where you combine or move ahead with new automation techniques that you identified, things that you identified. And it's important thing to always check your AI systems and continuous feedback for your AI systems, because when you let machines to learn, there are crazy things that could happen. We've seen enough of it, right? So it's really important to do checks and balances here and there, just to ensure that you are on track. So that's one area. So there are, if you read about AI and its myths and everything, so that is another area where people say, oh, AI is gonna get rid of, or it's gonna take all our jobs. No, it will change some of our professionals into a different manner. It might divert us from one job to another, or one profession to another, but it will not get rid of our currently what we are doing. Or if you keep your eyes open, definitely there will be enough new opportunities that's going to create through AI. So it's even in your organization, it's really important to do this balance, check and balances, just to ensure that human intervention is there, and how to ensure that you are on track. And as I said, continuous feedback and monitoring. So this is how you can adopt AI into your organization, because there are enough tools, frameworks, and methodologies that I've created, that even we can start it right now. You can start it with one of your simple projects. They might ask you to create, say, for an example, test cases, and you do test cases every sprint, right? So you do test cases every sprint, and you allocate, say, 30 hours, 40 hours to write test cases. And just think how you can automate these test case creation. Can you auto-generate these test cases? If you can, how? What are the tools? There are enough tools, enough frameworks. And if you have any questions, please reach out to me. I'll definitely help you with different technologies that are available there. There are enough free stuff. There are things that you can buy. I mean, you can try it out and you can push your organizations to buy as well. And there are enough GPTs that are creating generative, engines that are creating right now at this point, so that it's going to help us on most of our repetitive tasks. Test case creation is a big nightmare, right? So you still do that. You have to do it either in Excel sheet or even in a maybe in a different tool, maybe Jira or somewhere. You manually do it. You better automate it. I mean, it's time to automate it. So yeah, so just try it out and let me know if you need any support, any guidance on that as well. Right. So I picked 2 case studies to go through or to discuss with you, so that you can understand, you can see the AI's impact into the software engineering world, quality assurance world, how it's going to impact, how it's going to shape our world, and what we can do and what we can't do, right? So as I said earlier, we do contact management solutions, and we have large language models. So what's a large language model? So when you talk to Siri or when you talk to Google, you are talking to a large language model. So it's really, so these language models, it's provide a framework as well as it can predict the next word that you're going to say. That's the beauty of it. When you say Humpty Dumpty, the language model knows next you're going to say sat on a wall. Yeah, you can change it. That's the beauty of it as well. So that's why humans is always gonna overkill or overpass IAS at this point, because they are still learning, right? So most of these language models are still learning. So we have large language models. So as I said you earlier, my previous example, where you say, what do you want? I'm at me pizza. I'm pizza. What do you want? And then this language model should be able to understand your intent. It's the most important thing, right? What you're going to say with your weird accent. So when it comes to Sri Lankans, we all have different accents. I mean, and our accents are different than American accents. Our accents are different than Canadian, German, or Australian, New Zealand. There are differences, British accents. So these language models should be able to understand different accents as well, right? So say if you're given a task of testing a language model, how are you going to do it? Can you do it in manually? That's a challenge, right? So that's one of the challenge my QA team, myself, we have. So we use enough automation to test these language models. So you will never be able to test those things manually, right? Say for an example, if you order different combinations, how it's going to behave. If you order just part of it, how it's going to behave. And if you just wait without saying something. So again, the traditional QA part will come to play to a certain extent, different combinations, but these combinations are humongous. So if someone asks you to test it and do an estimate for that, how many hours that you're going to put to test such a language model, it's going to be humongous, and you're going to test it forever. So therefore, we bring a lot of automation to it. And then how are we going to train these language models? How are we going to train these language models as well as how are we going to test them? Those are very important points, right? So to train language models, yes, we using huge data lakes and different special language model trainings to train it. But at the same time, we are using the same or similar data lakes to figure it out, the data points that we can use to test those language models through automation. So we test for different accents, we test for different phrases, because it's the same thing can be said in multiple ways, using multiple phrases. So we test for those phrase combinations as well. So as I said, I'm not going to dig deep into internal tools or tools that we use outside to explain about how we do it. We have our own in-house developed tools. We have our own in-house developed frameworks, and we have our own tricks to train the models. Say for an example, so what will happen if this is not happening in your Siri, or this is not happening in your Google. That's why sometimes when you don't understand what you said, it says, no, I didn't get what you said, right? But in our system, we use another trick where we say, if our language model comes with a low confidence rate, we're going to transfer that single phrase to an individual who's listening at one corner. So we have people called IAs, intent analysts, who will listen to that just for that piece, and they will enter what the user said. So even with a person with a real weird accent, we gather the intent. If that individual can, even human being can listen and pick it up, they're gonna input what the user said, and then that's how we do the machine learning. That's how we tune our models. So there are different tricks that we use, right? So this is where we're heading at. This is, I mean, if you get involved in any real NLP or natural language processing involved testing activities, these are common things that you will start doing or that you will start using, right? So these large language models are common across multiple applications. It's not just a single application. We use it for all our applications, and we develop language models for different languages as well. That's the next challenge, right? So I speak English to a certain extent. I speak Sinhala for sure. I know a little bit of Tamil. That's pretty much about it. What about German? What about Dutch? How are you going to test it? How are you going to support the other languages? Are you going to hire team members who can speak or who are fluent in those languages? No, that's not going to happen in the new world, right? So in the new world, anyone who can speak or single language, maybe English, right? So since it's the business language in most of our cases, if you know English, you should be able to test German. You should be able to test Japanese. How are you going to do that? So it's not through Google Translation. It's not through, we use Google Translation to a certain extent, but we have to be smart enough, because sometimes Google Translations will give you a real garbage stuff, right? So we've created our own Curo, or what we call Curo models, where we can do the language translations, and at the same time, a lot of automation where you capture certain phrases from your databases, I mean, from maybe UAT production, or we use individuals outside who can provide, who can convert English phrase into a specific language, and we can record it, and that can be used for our automation. So then we can mimic, or we can create, or we can simulate a real user using some of these phrases that were captured through real individuals. And we create our automation based on that, using that. That helps us to test other languages as well, right? So some of you might have involved in some language testing or internationalization testing, I-18 testing, and you might have used maybe Google translators, or the existing, if it's a browser-based one, real browsers with the translators, and then you can definitely test it. And that had been the way that we've tested, say, for an example, one of my first engagement through Virtusa many years ago, that we had to test different localizations for different regions, especially Spanish regions. So the date stamps, timestamp, and the things were different, and we've put an extra careful, and that could create a lot of mistakes, when you try to do it as a human being, when you try to achieve those things, that's going to create enough mistakes. But with the automation that we're going to bring with this AI stuff, AI involvements with the machine learning, that's going to capture those issues and monitor it without any issues. So there will be, I mean, if it's a repetitive task, there you will never see a issue unless your machine learning, do some crazy stuff. We've seen that as well, right? So sometimes because it's not a human, right? So certain phrase in a certain context may be different than in a different context. Say, for an example, when you say you want to talk to a person, right? It may be either you want to talk to an agent or maybe something else. Or when you give some phrases, it might have a different meaning to it. So we will not be able to give feelings to machine learning. So that's one other area that we do research right now to figure it out, users' feelings. Because when it comes to most of these solutions, say, for an example, food ordering system, if you can figure it out how joyful this person is or how sad, because, angry is the most challenging thing. When people get hungry, they get really angry. If your order is, delayed, or if they are calling just because they have not received the ordered pizza yet, believe me, they're going to get really mad. You're going to get F word throughout the conversation. So normally people, the real individuals, sometimes do not like to answer to those calls. And especially we are handling with some of the collection agencies. Collection agencies are the ones who collect the money that you owe. So they will give you a call in the US. If you let's say if you don't pay your credit card, it will go to a collection agency, and collection agency is going to chase behind you to collect the money. And those are the ugliest conversations that I've ever heard. Like, I mean, they're gonna curse you, they're gonna give you, like, it's gonna be really hard conversations. So, and those individuals, they don't have a good feeling at the end of their job, right? Because they're gonna get bad words from everyone throughout the day. So we are replacing those call centers with our systems. But only on the same time, if we can figure it out, the mood or the real, whether they are happy, whether they are sad, based on that, we can either do an upsell, or we can calm them down, or we can provide a solution based on their feelings. So we've created some of the feeling models right now. We are in the process of doing most of these models, and we are training them. And just imagine, you test the feelings, right? So as a QA engineer said, I have to train my team to use how we're going to test their feelings, right? So whether if they are in a happy mode or what they've ordered last time, based on that, you're going to decide whether what's they're going to give them this time. What can we do some upsells? Say, for an example, if you feel that he's a meat lover, okay, you have new mutton curry, something that we deliver with the pizza, right? So I know Sri Lankan pizza do all this crazy stuff. So you can still upsell it. You can ask them to, we have a new variety. Would you like to try it out today, right? So that sort of conversation, depending on the mood, because if they're in a hurry, sad and bad mood, you might not try to upsell them, because you're definitely gonna get a real somebody's gonna get a really bad sort of a situation, right? So these are the key important points that you have to consider when you get involved in that sort of AI related development activities, testing activities. But these are real. This is really happening. And most of the companies, so in your current organization, you might be providing a solution to, say, maybe a ERP solution to company XYZ, right? Believe me, right now, they are thinking, how are we going to bring AI to this solution? How are we going to convert this boring application to a AI-enabled application, right? So they're going to change their software development. They're going to bring new applications to the market, and you should get ready to accept that challenge and to be part of that team. Otherwise, it's going to challenge for most of our individuals in our industry, and especially since most of the Sri Lankans born in Sri Lanka, I'm a Sri Lankan still. So for us, we bring a lot of money through software development, through outsourcing and all, and this is going to definitely impact Sri Lankan software industry. Believe me, it's going to impact. You will see it, right? So even right now, if you talk to the big companies, even I'm still working to one of my vendor companies. So if you talk to them, you will figure it out. They're having a real challenge time when it comes to businesses. So it's going to be really challenging in the future, just because AI is going to replace most of your existing systems, maybe not immediately, but 5, 10, 15 years down the line. So that's the time period where you're going to, maybe going to get retired, or maybe going to planning for to do something fun, or like travel and many things. So therefore, get ready, because this is going to come your way. AI is changing the whole software development industry, so whole software development world, and it's going to bring new practices, new tools, new ways of doing things. Get ready, and that's the best that you can do, right? Start learning, start seeing what's going around us, and how other companies advancing. And you might have seen this the new AI pin. There are enough videos that are circulating around, and they are giving it for $600 right now as a pre-order. So most of us got some mail saying, okay, do you like to pre-order? It's $600, right? So, and those type of things gonna change the whole world. How we look at the world, how we do software testing, especially because it's the topic of today, AI and its impact on software quality assurance. So it's gonna change the whole industry. It's gonna change the whole dynamics. Get ready. That's my message. Any questions? So we will have some, maybe around 7 minutes.
Yes, Harsha, we have a few questions, but due to time constraints, I think it'll be about one question that we'll be able to take up. I hope it's okay that I read one for you.
Sure.
What are the testing strategies used to test language models? Is there any tools that we can use to test the language models?
Right. So to the language models, we use our own internally developed tools, but there are enough outside tools. I can, whoever asked that question, just drop me a note. I will give you a detailed link and all the information, answer, and how we can start testing. So these language models are really critical. So we call it, I'll tell you the test strategy. I think that's part of the question. So we call them dialogue state IDs, DSIDs, right? So dialogue state ID, a single dialogue state. We divide dialogue states into different, we divide a whole component into multiple dialogue states, small components. Say, for an example, to identify the food intent, or to identify the phone intent, to identify first name intent. We create individual dialogue models, and we just test those dialogue models. Say, for an example, for the name one, right? If it's a name, then that will just capture the name, first name, just capture the first name, just capture the last name, just capture the pizza type, just capture the soda type. So we divide it into small pieces, and then we test those individual dialogue state IDs, and we create a lot of automation around it. There may be 4,000 test scenarios you might run for a single DSID, single dialogue state ID, and you test it individually, and then you combine it. You combine it, and then you run end-to-end automation test suite where you mimic a whole call flow. You act as a real human being. And then the last option, we give it to manual QA testers to test it manually. Again, my previous step, we just still do the checks here and there, checks and balances, just to ensure that we don't miss things. But that's becoming very, very minimum. So there may be a couple of scenarios that we do, but we give it to you when it comes to UAT, to clients, to end users, business users. They're gonna get really excited about it, and they're gonna do different testing. They're gonna say weird things, and they're gonna have fun. So we give it to real users, end users. But some of our clients started using automation for the UAT as well. So that's really interesting to see, especially the big banks that we provide services with. They use a name is Sierra. So you can Google search. There's a company called Sierra Automation. They do voice automation, end-to-end automation, and they support any language, what they call, but with TTS, text to speech. But you can, again, put a WAV file, put a real voice file, and start doing the automation. So Sierra is one known tool. Emprix is another known tool. I'll just give you some examples as well. But definitely, I can give you a detailed description. And if you're interested in, I can even do a quick demo. I'm not supposed to share most of these stuff. So that's why I even moved from my standard slide deck to a specially created one for you guys, because there are some industry secrets, but I will share as much as I could. Did I answer to your question, or do you need more?
There's a few more questions, Harsha, but I think since we are running out of time, it's okay that if you could type in the answers in the chat offline.
Sure. Yeah,
yes.
and I think the last slide, my contact details. Yeah, this is the most important one, because otherwise I will become like Chutimali and Potimali. They will always say, send us a mail, send us an email, snail mail, but they will not give you the mail address. So this is my personal email address. My LinkedIn, even I can, if you know this, the group, like, you can even get my mobile number. You can WhatsApp me. Yeah, I answer most of these things, but I'm more than happy to help you guys.
All right. Thank you very much, Harsha, for that insightful discussion. Feel free to reach to Harsh on LinkedIn and ask any questions you have, and he'll be pleased to answer them. And he'll definitely make sure to answer that you have post in the chat as well. So, with that, we will be moving into our third session. Here to speak on the topic, Mastering Delivery, the Power of Quality Excellence, is Oshadhi Thrikawela, Head of QA at Ascentic. Oshadhi Thrikawela is a seasoned senior QA lead, brings more than 14 years of extensive experience in the software industry, both in Sri Lanka and internationally. Her expertise covers various areas of QA engineering, including automation, quality management, and delivery management. She specializes in implementing strategies for quality management processes and offering QA consultancy. Throughout her career, she has worn multiple hats, serving roles as a QA engineer, project manager, business analyst, and scrum master. Over to you, Oshadhi.
Thank you very much, Anupama. Let me share my screen. Uh, yeah, hope you can see my screen.
It's not visible yet, Oshadhi.
Um, can you see it now?
Not yet.
Okay, let me try again. I'm not very familiar with Zoom. Pardon me with this. How about now?
Yes, we can see the screen, just the wallpaper.
Yeah. I hope you
Yes,
can
we
see
can see
the
the slide
slide.
now.
Right.
Yeah, perfect.
Okay. Yeah, so good evening, everyone. And first of all, I need to thank all of you for allowing me to be part of this fantastic series of sessions. And I thought to first start with sharing one of my recent experiences. Recently, we got a request from a customer to rewrite an existing system. So they were having some problems. The end users were having some problems due to quality problems, performance issues, user experience issues, and it was difficult to maintain because of the way it was written. So this customer decided to rewrite it with a new technology. Um, in this request, main focus was to provide a better user experience to the end users. So since there were already existing end users, they wanted to have a smooth transition. The quality level they wanted to wanted to have a higher quality level. We couldn't drop it, and also timeline wise, they should not feel a gap with the availability of this application in the production. So since this is a revamp, owners did not have a big budget. So there was a budget constraint. And our challenge was to deliver a high quality product with managing budget and the time. I hope this is familiar to most of us who came from, who joined the session with some industry experience. So with my session today, I thought to discuss with you about the ways to achieve this achieve a quality delivery and how to master it. Yeah. So throughout this session, I thought of first discussing a bit about what quality and delivery excellence is, and what are the areas that you should focus and how to achieve it. Little bit about matrices, and finally, uh, how to achieve a timely and quality delivery. Um, Without taking too much time, let's dive into the world of quality and delivery excellence and discuss more details what delivery excellence and quality excellence is. In general, when we say delivery excellence, it centers around the effective and efficient delivery of product and services. So the components can be project management, timely execution, resource allocation, or adherence to certain timelines and milestones. When it comes to quality excellence, it is actually centered around the overall quality of the deliverables, which goes beyond timely delivery and includes the adherence to specified standards and meeting or exceeding customer expectations. We need to make sure that we are delivering continuously a quality product. So you might think like whether we can achieve delivery excellence without quality excellence or vice versa. I think it is practical. You can do it. In my previous example, you can build this product and deliver on time within the budget, but you do not meet the expected quality expectations. So you are delivering, but you are not meeting the quality excellence. And also similarly, you can take all the time you need to assure the quality, take all the time and test and make sure that is in the excellent quality level. But your budget is like way beyond what you thought initially, and you are way away from your timeline. So you're meeting the quality excellence, but you're not meeting the delivery excellence. Now you understand that there is some kind of a link between these two, right? So these two are related and often go hand in hand. For a project or something to be successful, you need to have balance, time, money, and scope. So if you want to achieve overall excellence, you have to integrate all these things together. Then only you can achieve the overall excellence. So let's discuss a bit about achieving the overall excellence. So this means actually ensuring achieving outstanding performance across all aspects, delivering and quality, both. When you focus on this, you will definitely meet or exceed customer expectations. Your main focus is actually meeting what customer wants. This is not some kind of like a alien method that we are discussing here, but this is something that should come with your culture. It is a systematic cultural framework. This is an organized and structured approach that should be practiced all the time in all the steps. We have to you have to have this in your DNA. You have to bake this into your daily activities. And this will help you to sustain a high level of quality in products and everything that you do. Also, focus on delivering value at right time. We'll discuss about this more in the future slides. But when we say, like in summary, all the suggestions, improvements, everything should come on right time. And you have to go to the market. Customer should be able to go to the market on right time. Then only the customer will get the value of this thing that we are doing. The final and like the main aspect of achieving overall excellence is financing. You need to balance your budgets, stay within the budget, manage the costs, and manage the resources. I know talking about these things is so much simpler than actually putting it into actions. So let's see actually how we can do this and what are the areas you can focus, and when is the right time that we talk about here. Yeah, so this is a broad area, so I'm not going to talk about everything. Instead, I thought to focus only on most crucial three aspects. So we say customer is our good, right? Understanding the customer is important when it comes to achieving the excellence in any matter. So gain a deep understanding of customer expectation and requirements is a must. Understand their pain points, desires, and behaviors. If I take my previous example, so rewriting of this application, I told that they were already using this for some time. So understanding how the existing users' behavior is, how they use the previous system, and if they had any user experience issues, what are the workarounds they have used. Workaround in the sense they find shortcuts or easy ways to do these things, or use the functionality in a total different or wrong way. So what are those things? Understand their pain points. And since we are going to rewrite, what more they expect from the new system. So we need to understand these kind of things. These aspect can be different from customer to customer. So if we take a system like a hospital healthcare system, their pain points would be maybe data security or certain critical flows, or they might have different user expectations since doctors and nurses are using this. So talk to your customers, and understanding their needs is very important at the beginning or throughout this entire process. You have to establish a customer-centric approach, set vision and strategy that aligns with your goals and customers' goals. Again, throughout this process, we are thinking of serving best or giving best to our customers, right? Think of a situation where you go to a shop and shop for a shirt. There are different colors, different sizes, different materials, and different brands. And also there are some shirts called free size. So what would you prefer? Do you want to wear the same set of things do you think that you will fit to everyone's sizes, everyone's choices? No, right? We also prefer to have that personalized experience. Same with our customers. They want to have a personalized experience. So be flexible within your delivery process in this entire development process, and try to offer a personalized experience to the customer. Involve the customers in the delivery process. Unlike in the traditional waterfall method, now with Agile, you have a close connection with the customers, so you can use it for this, provide this personalized experience, and get their inputs and feedback and collaborate with them well. You can make them active participants in the process, and with this, customers are aware what is happening, and they also feel sense of ownership and responsibility. So if anything is not according to what the way that they want, they can communicate it then and there. Make sure to improve your processes and practices based on the insights that you gain from the customer experience and their end users experience. Make sure to have a transparent communication with your customers. You can have regular updates, demonstrations, and set clear expectations with them. Having this open dialogue with stakeholders help you to get the insight and address if there are any concerns in a timely manner. For example, if you feel like your customer is not technical enough, you can take as much as time it needs to clear things, clear the requirements. You can design visuals and show it to the customer. And set clear expectations on deliveries. This is happening on this day, and those kind of details, and have that honest conversation about them, about the process and the progress. Yeah. So the second main important point that I feel is quality management systems. So when we say quality management systems, what comes to your mind first? I'm pretty sure it is a set of rules, regulations, lot of work, documentation, right? We all don't feel very excited about quality management systems. But in theory, yes, in theory, we say it is a framework of policies, processes, procedures, and which will ensure us to meet the or meet customers' expectations or exceed it. But you don't have to actually go into that much of complex QMSs. From here, what you have to set and understand is to find what is working for your organization, for your customer, and for your culture. Establish a working QMS and try to keep it as simple as possible. Simplest way is the best way to find the path around it when you are in trouble. This will help to meet the customer's requirements, organizational requirements, and something like say that you might have compliance needs, specific compliance needs, and customer might have different ones. If it is a healthcare system, they might have different ISO standards to adhere to, and also you might have this target of achieving and managing deliveries in a cost-effective way. This will also support having a QMS and manage timelines, how to manage the scope. So all these things can be guided through having a proper QMS. Now, when you have a QMS, the first thing you have to do is actually set high quality standards, set up process and product standards, and educate all the stakeholders about like what you have discussed, and empower the team to take the ownership and responsibility, and they will be creative enough to achieve these standards. Once you have set the standards, make sure to define the monitoring and measurement criteria. So then you can frequently have these checkpoints. Set frequencies and expectations, and they have the internal and external audits or casual check-ins to see whether things are in place. You can improve the processes and standards based on the findings. Also, you need to have a really good risk management. When we say risk, anything unplanned which can affect the outcome can be mentioned as a risk, right? So having a clear view on all these potential risks is really helpful to define risk strategies, risk mitigation strategies, and be ready for it. So if I take an example, in the previous discussion, the example that I took, rewriting of this system, this customer want to go to the production with a standard quality within a limited time, right? So you can set the quality level standards like developer testing level stands and the quality of the PRs, clarity of the requirements, because you don't have time to go back and forth on these things. As the monitoring and measurement criteria, you can enforce that developers do not push the changes to test unless they make sure that the acceptance criteria are met. Acceptance criteria can be the basic functionality that you can click. You have to make sure that this feature is working fine. And in this entire situation, if you do a proper risk analysis, you might find, since this is an existing application with existing users, data migration itself could be a huge risk. So you are migrating existing data to a new database. There can be data issues. There can be all sorts of issues. So if you do this properly, do the risk management properly, you might have identified risk mitigation plans for this. Yeah. So in the previous slide, since we discussed about matrices and monitoring and measurement, what comes to our mind when we say that is actually matrices. In quality assurance world, what we say as matrices is mostly what comes to my mind is defect density or defect leakage, something like that. But if you need to achieve the overall quality when it comes to delivery and quality, achieve overall excellence when it comes to delivery and quality, you have to think beyond that. You need to consider product matrices, process matrices, and project matrices. Product matrices focus on the size, complexity, design features, performance, and quality level of the product. Some examples can be defect density, code coverage, customer satisfaction. So these can be considered as the product matrices. Process matrices help to improve the development. It can be techniques and tools to make strategic decisions. Then finally, project matrices can be the measurements that give you the details about staffing pattern, cost, schedule, and productivity, the money aspect of the entire project. So make sure to use software delivery matrices to analyze different areas of your development and deployment cycle. And use matrices to compare against your own standards, industry standards, and benchmark it. I know when we say matrices, these we don't feel so excited always, but they are a great way to make sure that things are on place. So having matrices really help you to understand where we are and whether we are actually continuously improving. Yeah. So let's go back to our most crucial threes of how to and what to achieve. The third point for me is actually continuous improvements. So without continuous improvements, products and services will not mature and improve. You will stagnate. Product and the process and the companies even will stagnate. So use the matrices you set up before and learn to improve the processes and standards based on those outputs that you get from the matrices. You need to set up good processes to get the continuous and early feedback. When we get early feedback, it is really easy to address those and correct those without a lot of cost. When you identify problems towards the latter part of the process, it takes a lot of time and it costs a lot to correct it. And feedback and improvements. So encourage feedback from customers, team members, and stakeholders. Use these feedback and identify the areas that you need to adjust and improve. Say it can be a product improvement where you need to you have to introduce a new technology, or it can be that you identify that this resource is not up to the level that we thought. Hence, this resource is taking some time than we thought to deliver what we have estimated for. So you might need to set up training plans or skill development plans for this resource. So there are many things that you can do with related to the resources and product improvements. But make sure to keep on celebrating the successes and project milestones that help you to feel good about what you have done. Have retrospectives and discuss about project setbacks and failures, and use all these failures and mistakes and learning points mistakes as the learning points, and you can actually prevent similar things happening in the future. If I say that data migration problem that I mentioned earlier, so if you say face any delay because of that, you can take it as a learning point and make sure to adjust your plans in the future if a similar situation comes. So like all these things that I discussed now, this is not actually a checklist, right? You feel like this is more of a culture that should be set up. The leadership of the company plays a key role here. Leadership has to create an environment where everyone feels included, respected, and heard. So we have to invest in people and recognize their effort and their performance. So good performance has to be rewarded, like they feel like that we are rewarded, and then only they will be encouraged to be innovative and put all their effort on achieving these things. In this type of setup, people will be encouraged to go that extra mile and help the company to achieve that overall excellence that we discussed before. Yeah. So earlier we discussed that we have to deliver the value at right time. We may have promised a lot of things to the customer, but if we do not deliver it properly, that's no mean, right? So when is the right time that we say that you need to deliver? My answer is actually all the time. So it from the beginning to end, you need to focus on this. And the question for me is here whether it is possible to achieve timely delivery with quality. What do you guys think? I actually prefer if it is a two-way communication, then I can hear what you think. So my belief sometimes was questionable. I wasn't sure whether it is achievable, but now I believe it is achievable. So let's see how. Yeah, if you need to achieve a timely and quality delivery, there are a few things that you have to focus on. You had the initial customer view. In that, you can get the understanding of the context of the customer and define the quality level based on that. For example, say in my example, the customer want to switch with an existing system. So he wanted to maintain or exceed a certain quality level. So that quality level is something. But say that there's another one who want to go to the market as soon as possible as a market ready as a MVP. So MVP means a minimum viable products. Minimum viable products doesn't have to have a high level of quality. There can be certain bugs as far as like there are no breaking points, but MVP needs a different quality level. So these two customers need two different quality levels. Once you identify that, you can plan and implement the strategies to achieve this. Throughout the process, make sure to have checkpoints. Checkpoints not only for quality, have checkpoints for your timeline and the budget. If you feel like that you are exceeding the budget, or if you feel like that you can't make it on time, regroup and have that open discussion with the stakeholders and set up strategies to overcome it. So have this transparent communication with the customer, and throughout the process, make sure to be agile. That is the best way that you can manage the time and the quality. Yeah. With that, we have come to the end of the discussion. So let's review the key points that we discussed. We discussed quality and delivery excellence are inseparable. You need to understand the customer. Working quality management system is very important. Constant evaluation and adaptation is quite important. And timely delivery with quality is possible if you plan well. Yeah, so this is actually a very broad subject that can be explored in more details, but I trust that you had some insight to the key aspects of it. And with that, I appreciate your time and attention. So I will open the platform for questions if there are any.
Thank you, Oshadhi, for that insightful session. And now we will begin our Q&A session. So please type in your question in the chat, and Oshadhi will answer them.
Thank you.
Oshadhi, we have yes, please.
Yes, please. I can't see the question, so
Yeah,
you will have to read it out.
there's one question in the chat, Oshadhi. The
Uh-huh.
first one, it says, can quality management system be improved or get matured continuously? Could you please elaborate this?
Yeah. So quality management system is something that you set up with the information and the knowledge you have, right? When you set it up, like I said, you have continuous checkpoints and measurements and see whether we are in place, whether we are actually doing it the right way. With your customers' inputs and stakeholders' inputs, you can see whether we have implemented it the right way. So you might need to set up different strategies to manage resources, manage the scope, or manage the timeline. So those kind of things you will get to know once you get into the water. So it will definitely evolve with time, and you will actually have to put that effort. If not, you might not find the best way to meet the expectations. I hope I answered the question.
Yes. With that, we have a few more questions in line, Oshadhi. The next one, it says, can quality management system be improved or get matured continuously? Could you please elaborate this? Okay, I'm sorry, this is the previous
Yeah.
question. Any suggestions for tools that support all sorts of matrices?
So most of the project management tools support these matrices, but rather what I feel is that these things serve different purposes. Budget and scope and timeline, these things serve different purposes. You need to find what is best for you. So you can even use Azure DevOps, or those tools also have these matrix support. I feel like these are the checkpoints that you have to find the best way to do it, which which matches your team and the organization needs.
It's more like it, Oshadhi. If
Okay.
you have any questions, of course, you can contact Oshadhi through LinkedIn, and she'll be happy to help you in answering your questions.
Yes, and thank you so much for giving me this opportunity to share what I know with you all. And hope you will have a continued nice quality week. Thank you.
Thank you, Oshadhi. And this concludes day 2 of Quality Week 2023. We are so grateful to our speakers, Nadee, Harsha, and Oshadhi, for joining us today and sharing their knowledge and experience with us so that we can now practice the work we do. Special thank goes to our sponsors, our strategic partner, 99X, and our esteemed education partner, the Sri Lanka Software Testing Board. Thank you all for participating today, and we encourage you to participate in tomorrow's sessions where Hiran Karandenia and Niluka Sripali and Gausalya Ramachandran will be joining to speak on fundamentals and frontiers of exploratory testing and empowering test automation efforts, embrace low-code, no-code solutions. One humble request before we wind up, please take some time to fill out the survey we have mailed over to your registered email addresses for us to gain more insights into improving the Quality Week sessions. And with that said, have a wonderful evening, everyone. Looking forward to your participation in the upcoming sessions as well.
Thanks, Anupama.